For this recipe, I am going to be using my zucchini rice and I'm going to be using it raw, so it's got a bit of bite and crunch to it. The first thing we do is make the dressing for our rice bowl, and I'm going to start with a spoon of my homemade pesto. Click on the I button for the recipe. To that I will add a tablespoon of olive oil, then a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar, a tablespoon of mayonnaise, and then I give it all a good mix, and our pesto dressing for our rice bowl is ready. And I put it in this nice squeezy bottle so I can be all fancy when I'm dressing the bowl at the end. Next, I'm going to marinate my chicken for this rice bowl, and I'm using chicken breasts. First, a nice big glug of olive oil, a splash of balsamic vinegar, some dried oregano, and a generous seasoning with salt. And then give it all a good mix and make sure every breast is well coated in that marinade, and then just set it aside. Now to cook the chicken, I'm going to get my non-stick pan on the stove and heat up some olive oil. Once the oil is hot, in go the chicken breasts. And now we're just going to cook them on a medium heat for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Remember, chicken breasts are fairly lean and cook quickly. If you notice, I have a few smaller pieces in the pan as well. Those will cook much quicker. Once the chicken has cooked on one side, flip it over. And just look at that lovely color on the chicken breasts. Oh yeah! Anyway, now those smaller pieces I had in the pan, they got done earlier, so I removed them, and then I let the full size chicken breasts cook till they were nice and golden brown on both sides and cooked all the way through. Then I remove them from the pan and let them rest. Now once the chicken has rested, it's time to slice it up, and I'm going to cut nice thick pieces, and man, look at how juicy and succulent that chicken looks. Cooked to perfection. Now I'm also going to take some buffalo mozzarella cheese and slice that up. This is a delicious fresh cheese made with buffalo milk. And now it's time for the main event. So we're going to assemble our rice bowl, and I will start with that zucchini rice of mine. I've got a mix of yellow and green zucchini in there. And then into the bowl goes our sliced up chicken breast. Then I'm going to throw in some cherry tomatoes that I've just cut into halves. Then in goes our buffalo mozzarella cheese and some sliced black olives. And that, ladies and gentlemen, already looks delicious. I'm just going to admire my handiwork for a second. Wow. Now it's time to dress our rice bowl with the pesto sauce that we made, and I'm using the new squeezy bottle to be all fancy and chef-like. However, things didn't go quite as I planned. The bottle sputtered and splattered, so it got a bit messy dressing the bowl. But hey, it's all about how it tastes, right? Sometimes stuff happens. Anyway, that's our chicken rice bowl, and all you got to do now is give everything a good mix and tuck in. Make sure you mix it well, because you want that pesto dressing to coat everything, and you want to get a bite of that chicken and that fresh mozzarella and the salty olives and the fresh tomato. I'm drooling already. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, time to taste. For this recipe, you are going to need chicken, spinach, heavy cream, ginger garlic paste, and garam masala powder. Now you're going to need a lot more spinach than what I just showed you, and I've got a nice big bowl of it ready for this recipe. What I showed you was just for representational purposes only. Now to make this recipe, I'm going to get my wok on the stove and then add in my spinach. I'm also going to add some water and then season this with some salt. After which I will cover it with a lid and let it cook for 1 or 2 minutes. And then open it up and give it all a good mix. And that's it. My spinach is pretty much done and ready for the next step. So I'm going to take it off the heat. Now I will transfer the spinach and any water from the wok into my blender. And if your blender can't blend hot things, then let the spinach cool down first. And then we blend this. If you need to add some extra water, that's completely fine. And then our spinach is ready to go, and you should have a nice and thick spinach puree. Now I'm going to turn the heat on again and get my wok on the stove. And to cook this saag, I'm going to be using some desi ghee, which is basically clarified butter. But once again, you can use any keto approved cooking fat, but I prefer ghee for Indian recipes. Once the wok is nice and hot, in goes my chicken, and I will season it with some salt. And then, ladies and gentlemen, give it all a good mix. You just want to saute the chicken and get the cooking process started. Then I add in the ginger and garlic paste and give everything a good mix. And now we just want to fry out the rawness of the ginger and the garlic and get all those delicious flavors into the chicken. And now just let that chicken cook and get some color. And beware of ginger garlic splatter. Since there is water content in that, sometimes it tends to explode and splatter. So be careful. Worry not though. Anyway, once that chicken has some nice color on it, it's time to add in our saag puree. And just look at that dark green color. Wow! It's time now to give it a good mix. So let the chicken and the saag get to know each other. Bathe that chicken in the delicious spinach puree, and then you want to put a lid on it and let it cook till the chicken is fully cooked through. After about roughly 6 to 8 minutes or maybe 10 depending on how big your chicken is, the chicken should be cooked and ready. Now it's time to add in our garam masala powder and our heavy cream. This is going to add some punch in terms of flavor and some richness as well. And now give it all one final good mix. And just look at that gravy. How rich and thick and delicious does that look? Oh yeah! Anyway, wipe that drool from your chin because our saag chicken is ready. And there's nothing left to do except to serve it up in a bowl and make it look pretty for the photos. And for that, I'm going to drizzle on some of that heavy cream, which makes it look even more appealing and delicious. Anyway, that's it folks. Our 5 ingredient saag chicken or palak chicken is ready, and it's a great keto meal. You can serve it with some cauliflower rice, a keto naan, or just eat it with a spoon. Anyway, enjoy. So for this recipe, you are going to need some chicken, some mustard, and some heavy whipping cream. Now I'm just using boneless and skinless chicken thighs because that is what was available, but you can use any cut of chicken, pork, beef, or even fish to make this recipe. The mustard I'm using is whole grain mustard because that's what I have available at home. You can use any mustard that you have lying around. The first thing I'm going to do is season the chicken with some salt and some black pepper. And I'm going to make sure to season it on both sides. And once again, this is a 3 ingredient recipe, so I'm using just salt and pepper, but you can add other seasonings based on what is available in your pantry. Now to cook the chicken, I'm going to get my pan on the stove and I'm going to heat up some avocado oil. Once the oil is nice and hot, in goes my chicken into the pan. And now you're going to cook the chicken for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side till it is completely cooked through. Now obviously cooking time will vary a bit based on how big the chicken pieces are, but generally 3 minutes to 4 minutes for a boneless thigh is enough. Anyway, once the chicken has cooked on one side, I'm going to flip it over now and let it finish cooking on the other side. And just look at the beautiful color on that chicken. Golden brown, and this is going to be so delicious. Anyway, once it's done cooking, I'm going to take that chicken and set it aside, and I'm going to now deglaze the pan with about a tablespoon of water. Then I'm going to add in my mustard and I'm going to give it all a good mix. And you want to make sure you scrape out all the brown bits that are stuck to the bottom of the pan because that is a whole lot of chicken flavor. That's what we call the fond in cooking. So give it all a good mix, make sure you get all those brown bits off. And then ladies and gentlemen, in goes our heavy whipping cream. And yes, you can also use sour cream, you can also use cream cheese, no problem. Anyway, give it all a good mix and make sure you taste your sauce for seasoning. Mine needed a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, so I added that in and it was perfect. And make sure you also pour in the resting juices from the chicken that collect in the plate. Anyway, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need to cook this sauce very long, just a minute more and take it off the heat and it's done. Now to serve myself, I'm going to put a little bit of sauce at the bottom of the plate and be all fancy. Then I'm going to place my chicken on top of that sauce and make sure you pour over any resting juices that are left in the plate, because that stuff is flavor. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the final step, the crowning glory. Pour that sauce right over the chicken. Oh yeah! And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Your chicken in a creamy mustard sauce is ready. And it looks so good. But as always, I can't let you go without cutting into that chicken and showing you a perfectly cooked cross section. And of course, don't forget to dip that chicken into that sauce and enjoy. Oh yeah! We're going to start by prepping our chicken wings. You want to first take off the chicken wing tip, which you can set aside and use later to make stock with. Then you want to separate the drum from the flat. It's pretty easy. You just cut right down the middle and you will feel the bone joint, and then your knife should pass right through it. You can also probably get your butcher to do this if you don't want to. Once you are done prepping your chicken wings, you want to pat them dry with a paper towel. Then just go ahead and transfer them into a bowl in which we will marinate and smoke them. Now, like I said, the main spice we are using is togarashi, which is a Japanese chili pepper mix. It's super delicious and not very spicy. I'll leave a link for where you can purchase it from in the description box below the video. Time to marinate our chicken wings, and let's start with some salt. Throw in some of that togarashi spice mix, some toasted sesame oil, and some Japanese soya sauce. You can also use coconut aminos, no problem. Then just give it all a good mix. Now I'm going to turn on my stove and place a piece of charcoal on it. We're going to use this to smoke the wings. Of course, if you own a smoker or a grill, you can just go ahead and smoke them on the grill. But since I don't have one, this is a poor man's way of smoking meat. Once that coal is hot, get it off the stove. Now I place a heat-proof ramekin or a steel bowl on top of my chicken wings and place the coal in that. Then you want to drop some butter or ghee or oil on it. I decided to use beef fat, and once it starts smoking, cover it with the lid and just let it smoke. You can do this multiple times, and I will smoke these now for 15 minutes. While that's happening, I will preheat my oven to 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit. After 15 minutes, I will remove the lid and I get rid of the coal and the ramekin I used. Now I will add half a tablespoon of baking powder to my wings and give it a good mix. The baking powder is supposed to help make the wings extra crispy. Anyway, now I get out my baking tray, which I have lined with some foil, which makes it easier to clean up, and I lay down those wings on the wire rack. Then I pop the tray into my oven for about 30 minutes to cook. While that's happening, I'm just going to chop up a spring onion and separate the white part from the green. We're going to use the white part for when we saute the wings in togarashi butter, and the green part right at the end for freshness. Now my chicken wings are done and out of the oven, and we're just going to take a moment here to admire the beauty of these chicken wings. Oh yeah! Since these wings are inspired by yakitori, it needs some char on it. So one way to do that is to use your blowtorch and just char the exterior lightly. You can already see how epic those wings are starting to look now, just like if it was cooked over coals. Another option is to do it directly over your stove using some tongs or a wire rack. Or you can just pop the wings in your oven at the highest temperature or under the broiler for 5 minutes. Time to finish up these wings, so I get my wok style non-stick pan on the stove and I add in some butter. Now you can use as much or as little butter as you like depending on how much fat you want in the dish. I'm going to go with a healthy but not obscene amount of butter. Then I add in my spring onion whites, the togarashi seasoning, and I saute them. We're kind of frying those onions and melding all the flavors together to make a togarashi butter with a hint of spring onion. Now I start chucking in those wings into the pan, and once they are in, give them all a good mix so that they get coated with that delicious flavored butter. You can also do this in a wok so that you can do all those fancy wok tosses. I tried it a few times using the handles and it kind of works with this dish as well. Anyway, once they are well coated, we are going to add in our spring onion greens and then give it a few more tosses and mix it up all nicely and then take it off the heat. Now get out your serving plate and serve yourself a nice portion of these wings. And trust me, these don't even need a dipping sauce. Finish it with some more spring onion greens. And that's it, folks. Our delicious Japanese style keto chicken wings are ready. Now the fancy name for this dish when you feed your family and friends is yakitori style twice cooked Japanese chicken wings in a togarashi butter with scallions. Anyway, that's enough jibber jabber. Time to bite into those wings. You folks hungry yet? Better drop me a comment and tell me just how hungry you are. On a scale of 1 to I'll eat the wing with your hand in the process if you don't feed me, how hungry are you? Anyway, enough jibber jabber, time to taste.